Pharaoh's quest for immortality would inspire the most colossal monuments ever built in antiquity. We'll begin in Cairo. Traveling south to Memphis and Saqqara, we'll see the Alabaster Sphinx, the Bent Pyramid, the Step Pyramid. The next day to the Giza Plateau, the Sphinx and Great Pyramids, Mosque of Muhammad Ali Pasha. Then we'll fly to Luxor, Old Thebes. Ramses II, Ramses the Great, Karnak temples, Avenue of the Sphinxes, Valley of the Kings with King Tut, face to face. Mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut. Next, we cruise the Nile and arrive at Edfu, going to the temple of the falcon-headed sun god Horus. From there, we'll sail to Komombo and visit the crocodile-headed god Sobek. Next, the Aswan Dam, also known as the High Dam. Sail in a felucca on the Nile and go to the temples of Philae. Our last day, we fly to see the awe-inspiring temples of Abu Simbel, then fly back to Cairo.
My name is Faris, spelled like Paris, but with F for father instead of a G.
So did you spend time digging?
Yeah, at the beginning, yes.
Where did you dig? Did you find any?
We were working at Saqqara here. That's a good shot. You get the buffalo, you get the lady and her boy or her son over there with the palm trees and the alfalfa.
And King Zoser's Step Pyramid, 4,600 years old, built by the famous architect Imhotep. Looking south, we see Snefru's Bent Pyramid was bent inward because of some instability during construction. We were given special permission by Zahi Hawass, who had his foreman open up the Step Pyramid for a private tour. Above are cedar beams from Lebanon, and below is where the sarcophagus was. On our way back to Cairo, we detoured through an area where a new elevated highway is under construction. Lunch is at the Mina House Hotel at the foot of the Great Pyramid in Giza. We'll go there tomorrow. Our last stop is Old Cairo, or Coptic Cairo. And this represents Joseph, Mary, and Jesus who fled from Herod's massacre.
See you tomorrow, 8:25. Okay, wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
so welcome.
What are they smoking in those pipes?
They're smoking tobacco when you do the molasses in the hookahs behind us. And they were attacking the fortress in the front right here.
you like to share the camel with your husband or with your wife? So who's going to share? This is 1, 2, 3. Stop. Trevor,
Let me tell you about Ahab the Arab, the sheik of the burning sand. They had emeralds and rubies just dripping off of him, had a
Ready?
ring on every finger
1,
of his
2.
hand. He wore a big old turban wrapped around his head, scimitar by his side.
الست دي رجلها وجعها ركبتها.
Wave to Claire, everybody. Use the camera, woman.
And out of the tent they went. They jumped on Clyde and started to ride, cutting out across the sand with the Sultan's whole army in hot pursuit. On and on they ran.
Look at this.
Well, to make a long story short, they got away because there wasn't no animal alive what could keep up with Clyde once he got started, because he was the fastest steed on the whole desert, babies. Anyway, they made it across the border where Ahab hocked all his rubies and emeralds and bought him a swinging little split-level pad, and they lived happily ever after. And that's the story about Ahab the Arab, the sheik of the burning sand. Ahab the Arab, the sheik of the burning sand.
Aloha.
This solar boat took Khufu across the Nile to his Great Pyramid. That boat was discovered 4,000 years after it was used, then reassembled, and was identified as the world's oldest intact ship that could sail today if put in water. Below Khafra's pyramid, he built the Sphinx.
A lion and the head of the king himself, the king of Khafra himself.
This afternoon, we're going to the housing minister's weekend retreat. The entire family's invited every Friday afternoon. A time for family, relaxation, and invited guests. Our contact is a YPO member, the nephew of the minister.
Does this remind you of
Who are these people? These are the bus people.
This morning we're going to the Citadel overlooking the city of Cairo all the way to Giza. Quite spectacular. Within the Citadel is the Alabaster Mosque that we'll tour. Last night we went to a second dinner party. Talk about too much food. Oh, I'll have everyone describe it to you.
Tell me about the pigeon last night. What is your recollection of the pigeon last night?
Well, I think it was one of the most delectable items I've ever seen. I hope we have it tonight for dinner. Actually, I hope we have it for every night.
Describe last night's pigeon.
Well, first of all, there are about 30 on one plate, and it did not look like a pigeon. It looked like stuffed rats. That when you opened it, it enveloped your plate. And Rob took one for the team.
Night's pigeon.
Well, the pigeon was a lot like rat, if I remember correctly, but more tasty, having not had any of it myself.
You mean the rat or the pigeon?
The pigeon, because I've had rat with Claire. And
Pigeon to me looked like a hamster fried up, and it was pretty unusual.
And how many did you eat?
0.
And you didn't think you wanted a hamster?
No, I couldn't. Wouldn't touch it.
Wouldn't touch
It was
it.
very gross.
Of last night's pigeon.
Well, it looked a little rodent-like, but Rob rode and ate it. And as soon as he ate it, it like exploded with rice and went from this to... So the more he tried to eat it, the bigger it grew.
Pigeon last night. I want to know what...
I heard Rob took one for the team.
And what did he say on the taste or the texture or anything? What else?
He said it seemed to grow when it got put on its own plate. And he cut it open and there was no hiding then.
So describe what was going on.
Well, you know, I was trying to be a good guest, and
Sure.
I saw the food, and there was this plate of what looked kind of like maybe corn dog, or maybe only it had eyes and it had like antennas and like little feet, and I wasn't sure what it was, and our hostess said, "You have some pigeon," and you know, I said, "I don't know, I mean, I'm kind of full," and she said, "Please have a pigeon." I said, "Well, only if I only eat a little bit, it's okay if I leave it over." She said, "Yeah, no problem." So I took this beast and I put it on my plate, and I cut into it, and it like exploded, kind of open with rice and lots of things inside, and it didn't look very good. And then I kept eating it, and it didn't go away. It just kept looking the same on the plate, and she kept looking at me, and of course all you guys were looking at me, and I was just trying to eat one of the 25 pigeons on the plate, and what I can say is it tastes just like chicken.
Pigeon for the modern Egyptians now, it is considered as the American Viagra. Prophet Muhammad is a literate person. He didn't wrote in one of the schools. But the Quran had been revealed upon him by angel Gabriel. And then way back with the skyline, you see the Western Sahara, where we drove yesterday.
Better shop around, oh yeah, you better shop around, shop around. I try to get yourself a bargain, son. Don't be sold on the very first one. The pretty girls coming down the desert. I try to find one who's gonna give you true love.
At the beginning of the Fatimid Cairo, and in front of you right here, this is the famous mosque called after the name of Al-Hussein.
Your feet are moving, while the sudden you find yourself in the middle of nowhere. You're lost. Unless you know how to pick a landmark, otherwise it's not easy to get back.
Let's go get lost.
And here's our security guard with an Uzi underneath his jacket.
And this is Al-Azhar Mosque, as I told you, as a university and a mosque for the prayer.
So this whole area is called Islamic Cairo.
Yeah, Islamic Cairo.
From here, we're going back to the hotel and get cleaned up, because at sunset, we're going to the Giza Plateau for a laser light show. We fly to Luxor and overlook the Nile River Valley. The Nile is a major north-flowing river in Africa, generally regarded as the longest river in the world. The White Nile rises in southern Rwanda and flows through Tanzania, Lake Victoria, Uganda, and southern Sudan. The Blue Nile starts in Ethiopia, flowing into the Sudan, where the two rivers meet near Khartoum.
This is still subject to excavation all the way back to Karnak to the right and heading to Luxor Temple to the left. We're supposed to go to Luxor Museum, which is located downtown.
And before that, we'll drop off our luggage at the Steigenberger Nile Palace Hotel, where we'll spend one night. Cheers!
This is the Luxor Temple, which was dedicated to the harem of Ammon, or Ammon, the god. Luxor Temple is the one, as I mentioned, coming from the airport that was connected with Karnak, with the Sphinx Abbey here. So both of Luxor and Karnak temples are located on this east side of the Nile, as well as the ancient capital of, right? But if you look on the west side, where the Gorna Mountain or the Horn Mountain is there, bordering the skyline to the left.
And tonight, a light show at Karnak Temple. Before going back to a birthday party.
Happy birthday, sweet 16. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Happy birthday, sweet 16.
That would have been fun.
Luxor itself, as we mentioned earlier, had taken the place of Memphis as the capital since the Middle Kingdom, 11th dynasty onwards, till the time of Alexander the Great, when he gave his orders to build the new capital city, which is Alexandria itself. So without the stairways, they wouldn't be able to reach the top parts of the flags itself. He was a great warrior and fighter. As a greater builder, he had built for the gods of Egypt at all different places with his offices. And he managed to pull all of it down and to just clear the whole area and let the visitors enjoy the view of the Nile. From the temple, you see the west side of the river as far as Hatshepsut temple, if you were aware where to look. So that was again the same ancient Egyptian landscape and the same view. He's trying to bring it back to life again. In ancient Egypt, the priests used to celebrate that famous Aprit feast. The Aprit was the celebration of the divine marriage of the famous god Ammon to his beloved goddess Nut. Statue of Ramesses sitting in front of us right there with the double crown and the cobra on the head, straight-sided beard, with that famous lovely smile of Ramesses. If you shoot at him and you get the column behind him with the blue sky, this is the typical postcard view of the temple. If this temple started as a pagan temple, and the area where the big modern house, as I told you, that house needs to be pulled down, the open area outside the temple was used like a block yard. Also, they did have a key where the boats landed or embarked in front of the temple right. So now, as if the king is standing in the protection of the god. And now this is the later period. Represents Ramesses II, Ramesses the Great. As we did say before, what he had done, it was done against him. He used to erase the name of the other kings and put his name instead. This columned hall is the biggest columned hall ever, which is covering 5,000 square meters. It is the biggest one or the largest one ever been built for any one of the ancient and even the modern gods. Architects suggested that this columned hall by itself is wide enough to accommodate all the many churches in Europe, and there will be more space as well. Excellent quality of art. And again, as Seti, he was the most pious king, very devout to the god. He was the one who never put a shoes or a sandal in his feet in the presence of the gods. And he never stand still with the muscles stretched like that, but always bending down in a very modest way in front of the gods. This is one of the two obelisks that ordered by Hatshepsut as one single block of granite. It's almost about 30 meters tall, that single block, and she ordered it to be quarried from Aswan, which is lovely kind of work representing the lotus flower next to you right here. and the papyrus flower at the far column there, or the far pillar over there, which is matching completely the original orientation. That statue we see standing in front of you represents God Amun himself as a human being. I can say this is the end of our talk and walk, and I hope we are all okay, in a good shape still.
It's now time to check in for our Nile River cruise. We'll spend one night here. Then, before sailing tomorrow afternoon, we'll visit the Valley of the Kings. Here's the royal throne of King Tut. We're headed to the Valley of the Kings, where, for a period of nearly 500 years, Egypt constructed burial chambers for its kings and powerful nobles. The valley's known to contain 63 tombs with as many as 120 chambers. In modern times, the valley's become famous for the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun and is one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world. And where I was arrested. The tombs are decorated with scenes from Egyptian mythology and give clues to the beliefs and funerary rituals of the period. Here's a cutaway of the artisans working, the location of the known tombs with a below-ground view.
For 1 week to get more stronger, okay? Why? Because we need to make a hole inside it here by hand drill, like that.
We're now headed to Queen Hatshepsut's mortuary temple. She was the first daughter and only surviving heir of Thutmose I and became pharaoh. She married her half-brother, Thutmose II, and their son, Thutmose III, became pharaoh when his mother died. Okay. Just over the hill from the Valley of the Kings is the artisan village, where the workers who built the pyramids live.
The rest of the morning and the rest of the afternoon and the rest of my life.
The twin 60-foot-high statues depict Amenhotep III. Tomorrow night's the gala dinner, where people will be dressing in Egyptian costume for dinner and dancing. The ship sells outfits as well as every other town we visit. What we have here is the black market. Our ship's in line to go through the Ensa lock, So we're a captive audience. They'll throw the garment to you, and you can either put your money in the bag or the garment and throw it back. These guys have better arms than any major league pitcher. We'll stop here overnight and get an early morning start on our two-port stop at temples dedicated to the falcon-headed sun god Horus, and then to the crocodile-headed god Sobek.
Yeah. Of all the temple remains in Egypt, the Temple of Horus here at Edfu is the most completely preserved. Horus was the son of Osiris and Isis, who, by the way, were brother and sister. Seth, another brother, was envious of Osiris, his younger brother, and he killed him. Isis reassembled Osiris's corpse. Sound like they were stars in a Hollywood movie.
I dreamed I was in a Hollywood movie, that I was the star of the movie.
We have the two brothers and the two sisters. The two brothers, Osiris is the good one, and Seth was the bad one. It's the scene of Horus boat, headed with the pointed neck and the sun. So when you have a whiter background with the minimum amount of sun rays coming down will be reflected and doubling the light inside the chamber. This is why they call it red light. Different kinds of clouds, ceiling with the stars and the skylight coming down with the sun rays, of the lovely pictures of the gods and the smile of the king's face is often called different items. Very far future concerning the rainfalls and rainwater. This is why they add this kind of draining system with these front parts of the lion. If it rains and the rainwater should be sent.
Dueling cameras.
We gave him the
supposed to go like this, you know? I don't do that. I don't do that.
First, it is the only temple dedicated to the crocodile god Sobek. He is considered as a great healing center since the time of the early days of the pharaohs. You realize now that art is stepping down quality-wise. And you can see it's not as elegant as those at Karnak.
So this is the first month of the third season, okay, where they grow plants, and then they continue with the second day, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. This is a sign, okay, and this is the name of the days you can see in there.
The missing part of Osiris.
We get it almost every night, and when that moon gets so big and bright, it's supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight.
This temple, dedicated to Isis, was moved here when the Aswan Dam was built. Also moved was the Roman Emperor Trajan's kiosk as part of a UNESCO project, which also moved the monuments at Abu Simbel that we'll see tomorrow. Today is very exciting. We're flying to Abu Simbel and then back to Cairo.
Wait, don't tell him and not me.
I'll take shade.
But the temple, as we see in front of us right now, the temple facade, it has the 4 statues. All of them represent Ramesses II in a gigantic size, as you can see, and you compare our human size now to the size of the statues, and they reach almost the height of 17 meters long, And all of them, they do represent the king as seated, alive. And back to the right side there, this is the temple of his wife, Nefertari. He dedicated this temple to Rahu Rakhi, as we see his statue in front of us. At the base of the statues, that will be reminding us with the scenes that we saw at Luxor Temple of the conquered cities and the population represented as war prisoners with their eyes tied behind and their necks tied to each other, and the human bust surmounting an oval shape representing the fortified walls of the city with the teeth projecting out.
To meet you nice. Welcome.
No, $5 free picture. How much it is, baby? How much? How much? 500. Beautiful. This is 25.